It's fine, chat. It's fine. You gotta give me 2 seconds. But hey, hi, how are we? There we go. See, it was fine. I told you it was fine. Anyway, hello. So today, the plan. Today the plan is one of the servers I'm on, the ForgottenSMP, has hidden a bunch of Halloween surprises around. So you and me, chat, we're gonna go find a bunch of them. They asked us to only grab 5, to make it fair to others. So we shall see, and I'm gonna keep a notepad over here so I can note down what I found and where I found it, because I'm a responsible guy. Kind of, sort of, not really, but you know. I'm sort of responsible, chat. I'm sort of responsible. Also, I want to make it apparent where my mob vote is gonna lie. I am, and it's, so, I was trying to decide between, the glare and the LA, because I do think that the LA is more useful, right? But when I tell you that that stupid little moss creature has my heart in a vice grip, I want to get a glare and I want to name it Feldspar. Like, I know it's stupid and I know it's like probably arguably the least useful of the mobs, but like, I don't care. I just want to have it be friends with my pet striders that I always inevitably end up with. Like, although I will say, I do think that the LA is... I think the LA is probably going to win, if I'm being honest with you, chat. And if so, then it's going to be friends with all of my, oh, what do you call them? They're literally on my bed in the game right now. Dang it. What do you call them, chat? Parrots, with my parrots. It'll probably be friends with my parrots. Because, like, they both dance to music and stuff, so I'm hoping that they have some kind of cute interactions. But again, I just... Even though I'd like to decorate with the copper buttons, I think, personally, even though I understand the idea of its usefulness, I do think that the copper golem is kind of not great. But the glare, I think, is very unique in its design and, like, looks very visually appealing. So, I don't know, chat. Anyway, we're getting ready to switch over here in a second. I'm just letting you know I'm voting for the glare. Alright. Hello, kitten. Alright. Let's go. Pop. Alright. Let's get into it, chat. So... I'm basically just gonna be playing a spot the difference game for, like, what's not, like, right or normal. I don't know if they would hide it inside of structures, but we'll check. That is just runs. I found one. I see one. I see one. I see one. Okay, who have I found? I found Hecate. Hecate. Also, I don't know if it's Hecate or Hecate, but I've always said Hecate. Alright, and there's usually something under it, according to them. Where's my shovel? I guess I don't have a shovel yet. You know what? Let's not be stupid. I've just realized that I was about to dig straight down. Let's not do that, chat. Also, I'm keeping the side. Alrighty. Ooh. Water breathing, gilded blackstone. I don't remember which one 13 is, but that's pretty awesome. I'm also going to take the chest. That's pretty stinking rad, chat. Alrighty. So we found Hecate. Alrighty. Alright. Let's take her back to the house. So we have one already. That's pretty awesome. And beyond that, my plans for today are probably to continue the village. Also, tell me why it took finding out through Captain Sparkles, because I have always wondered if there was a toggle area for the, or toggle thing for sprinted, and I guess I didn't look around enough in the menu. Tell me why it took Captain Sparkles going to Rabu and going, you know, you can toggle running, for me to figure that out. Anyway, I'm just saying. Thank you, Captain Sparkles. Also, when I tell you, I think people expressed this before, but the amount of ancientness I feel when someone says, "Who's Captain Sparkles?" Like, I literally feel like an old crone if somebody says, "Who's Captain Sparkles?" Like, I can't even put into words how old that makes me feel. Because I'm like, bro, I didn't even watch him, and I knew who Captain Sparkles was. Also, guy's a really genuinely good dude. Also, watching Wilbur intentionally try not to swear was one of the funniest things in the world. So, hang on. Alrighty. I have an idea. I do want to set this cauldron up, now that I have it. And I don't know how far out they're gonna be. I doubt they're gonna be super far out, right? Like, they're probably not gonna be, like, crazy. Where is my my netherrack? Hang on. It's gotta be up here somewhere. I know I very seldom ever do potions, but, for personal reasons, I do want to have a cauldron in Mordecai's house. Hello, cats. What are you doing? Sorry, my kitten is pestering me. Right. So, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I should make a new area out this way. You'll see what I mean. But yeah, and again, I do, for the mob mode, I do technically think that, like, if I had to pick the one that I think would be the most useful, or, like, the most interested to me personally in the game, as far as, like, it's not just purely driven on the fact that, like, it looked into my... Hello, Mystery! Welcome, dear heart! But I saw it. I think the glare's really cute. And I know that I'm inevitably gonna get someone going, "Oh, you're like a dream stan or whatever," because I think that's who he's backing. But I'm like, bro, I just really want this cute little, like, moss puppy. I just really want it. And I want to name it, you know, like, Feldspar. My desires are very simple. I like cute things. But then again, I was a glow squid truther, so... True, honestly true. Like, worked out for Ramu. Alrighty, let's just kind of open this area up a little bit, because that way I have, like, kind of a nice little area to put this cauldron in. Alrighty. And now we know what to look for. I think that all of them are probably going to be pumpkins, but if they're not, it's fine. Alrighty. We'll open this up more in a bit. True, yep. Oh, I need to listen to Pebble Brain at some point today. Because I was like, waiting for it to come out. Although apparently the first line in the very first one will literally, like, mess me up, because it basically talks about, you know, that you have the same eyes and temperament as your father. And I'm like, oh, that my daddy issues. No. No, thank you, please. Don't you like it? One day I'll know that you will be there. One day I'll focus on the future. Maybe one day. Oh baby, isn't life so fucking inconsistent? Again, I know that I usually try not to swear on stream, but one day I can't. Inconsistent. Alrighty, where are we going? But yeah, so we found one, so I've got like 4 more I can look for. Let's not run off the edge. And hopefully no one messed around too much with the silent step. No, you don't need a language me. I'll already language me as much, or, yeah, enough as is. And goodness knows that my TikTok live chat does it too. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Focus on the future, maybe one day. Oh, baby, isn't life so inconsistent? I'm trying. Well, and it's also getting towards night, and I don't really want to tempt fate in the name of, you know, trick-or-treating on a Minecraft server. Alrighty. Especially because I don't want to, like... Because seemingly, creepers really love the silent steps. Which is the area that I'm in. I don't know exactly why I decided to call it that, I just did. Let's see. Bow, bow, bow. One day I know... Or, what am I talking about? I've already lost the plot. Inconsistent. Alright, sleep. Hello. I believe this is Luna. Stella's the Scarlet. Now it's playing all of the like, actual language ones back to back. Yesterday, when I added a bunch of the actual, like... I've totally blanked on what I call these things. What? Braid? Lyrical, verbal, whatever you want to call it. The ones with actual words. I don't care, you can kiss your dreams goodbye. So I'm gonna head out towards the jungle and look there. Because my guess is they probably put one up nearby, portal. Let's see. Bup. Okay, cool. What do we got? I just try to, like, unfocus my eyes and do it that way. Vines would actually probably look really nice on my house. That's actually a good call. Do I have shears on me? I'll definitely come back and grab some. What in the world? I almost looked at an Enderman. Holy cow. Wow. We're not going to talk about how close that was, right? Like, I didn't even realize what I was looking at until it made sound. Holy cow. Wow, I had no idea that was there. Yes, Frenderman, definitely, but scared. Alrighty, let's go on a big roam around to find... And I like that they all have names. I think that's a really cute touch. Also, mad props to, I believe it was Shelby, amongst others, who helped set this up. Because, like, which is Shelby Rose here on TikTok. Or, we're on Twitch, Logan. But mad props for them to set up, like, a fun thing like this for the server. It is pretty friggin' cool. Alright, cool. Also, I loved yesterday with the practice stream that Cyan Centipedes put on. What I love Wilbur desperately trying not to swear in front of the captain. Like, that was one of the most delightful things in the world. Especially Will trying to figure out what he could say in front of the captain. He's like, it was just really funny. And then Dream coming in and flexing on poor Rabu and Sneeg. How quickly he can finish the hardcore course. I will say, it was very nice of him because he definitely let Rabu finish before him, because he could have easily just like walked off and finished it at the start when he came in the first time and lapped him. He could have totally done that, but he didn't, so it was sweet that he let him finish. Although I do believe that if Rabu had fallen down, Dream would have actually gone ahead and finished before him, just to, you know. But, regardless, it was very sweet and very funny. Like, I was convinced, by the way, that Rabu was going to fall down as he hit that last run, because he'd done it before, so I was so happy for him. He is! They are exactly like siblings, and it's really funny. Especially, like, it's kind of like how people talk about how Wilbur is Tommy's big brother. Dream is definitely Rabu's big brother, but in a bit of a different way. Like, they're a lot quieter about it. Now, I don't know if anyone's gonna have searched here. I expect they will have, but I just want to find cool stuff. Let's see. Oop, Frenderman went poof. Alright. Because I also don't want to... Oh, I see one. I have spotted one. There it is. What is this one's name? True, true, very true. Alrighty. What is your name? You are Igor. Igor. Alright, good, good. Oh, this one has stone instead of dirt. Okay. I think I'm gonna go to this. 2, 3. Alrighty. I can have a bat! Ooh, ooh, yes. Yes, please and thank you. Alright, cool, that's rad. Oh, what do I want to name it, though? That's the question. Ooh. So I have, actually, ironically, I already have pets named Stella and Luna, so I can't name it Stella Luna. I'm thinking... Strix. I'm thinking that. I'm thinking that. If I do spawn it in, I'll need to, like, leash it so it doesn't go anywhere, but I'm thinking I'm gonna name it Strix. Oh, no. No, thank you, please. Run. Run for the pillagers. They clearly do not want me to have my bat friend. Ooh, Dusk is cool, too. If I get another pet, I'm gonna have to tuck that into my back pocket. Like I said, the current only plans I have for naming a pet, like, anything definitive is I know that if the glare gets added, I want a pet glare named Feldspar. That is the only one that, like... Because I usually don't have, like, set names for pets. I see another one. It'll just be whatever the vibe is. Unless it's, like, a narratively driven reason. Like, there is a reason that... What is your name? You are named... Fester. Fester. But there's a reason that in the Charmed SMP, that the 2 pet Striders I have are named what they are, which is they're named... Oh, why am I blanking? They're named Greta and... It's Vernon. Greta and Vernon. There's a reason they're named Greta and Vernon. Let's go. I got Wither Roses and a zombie head. Okay, cool. Good, good, good. Alright, and after we find those 5, we'll go work more on the Pueblo houses out by the house. But anyway, let's go. And I don't know, like, if any of them are going to be in, like, caverns or whatever. We'll just see. I'm sure they're all over. There we go. Gosh darn it. Alright, good, good. Let's see. I'm just kind of trying to let my guys go lazy so that they spot differences in the trade. Which is how you do the, like, the best way to do those spot the difference games is just by doing exactly what I just described. And I randomly found that out from Aaron from Game Grumps because there was one episode that my partner showed me, I see one, where he was doing one of those spot the difference games, and I think it was Dan, was like, how are you so quick at these? And he's like, do you really want to know the secret? And he explained to him that you just unfocus your eyes. Who are you? Edward! Edward. Sorry, just gonna casually traumatize Fullmetal Aquasens. Okay, good. Probably the most normal name of them so far. Alrighty. Bup. Okay, cool. Also, like, poor Captain Sparkles yesterday, he was so tired, and you could just tell. He was like, can we please hurry? A zombie head, weakness, golden apples, and chains. I actually could definitely use these chains, like, in a couple of my builds. Like, okay, so we have one more we can find before we're at our limit. Alrighty, let's see. Have they lit the portal? Okay, so, let me explain. So, narratively, in this, server... Okay, and I already found my last one. But my character was one of, if not the only people who was not at the center of the blast. There were like maybe two more, and therefore kept their memory. So so all the other characters have forgotten a lot about how daily life functions, but Mordecai did not. And basically, narratively, Mordecai noticed that they had that portal sitting empty for a while, and while Mordecai is technically banned from the Nether, Mordecai still knows how to light a portal, and basically left a note saying something to the effect of, "Hey, I know it's not my place, but I noticed that you didn't," and of course I would find one of the horror villains. And basically was like, "Look, I know it's not my place, but are you intentionally keeping this portal not lit? Blah, 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 blah. And do you need help to figure out how to light it?" So it would seem that they have lit it. Skeleton, zombie, water breathing. Oh, oh no, I'm full on inventory. Hold on. And then you can go away. No, 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 no. There. Okay, good. Ooh, now we need to get back home. Alrighty, but we have found our 5. We did it, chat. That's gonna hurt my ankles if I try that. And that would still hurt my ankles, so who cares at this point? But yeah, I'm excited that I found a bat friend. And I got a disc, and I got a cauldron, I got wither roses, which are narratively very important to Mordecai, because they represent someone very, very important in his life. Which is why, basically, when the server started, they essentially asked us, is there anything narratively that you want to have? And for Mordecai, my one request was a single wither rose, but now I have extra wither roses, so that's exciting. I actually do need to set up Mordecai's, like, real bedroom. No, you're fine, don't worry. The fact that you're here at all in the first place means a lot. Also, I hope things have been going well for you. I know times have been, like, pretty rough lately, so send it, internet hugs, you know? Alright, that skeleton's gonna... Oh dear, he's got a friend. We're just gonna try to just... Nope, no thank you. Alright, hi buddy. Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's not jitter our way across the landscape. Come on. I know. Well, actually, technically, Mordecai does not have short little legs. I was gonna say, I know you got short little legs. Technically, Mordecai is 6'4", so he's not that short. Alright, hello, Luna. Alrighty. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay, put that in there with the other wither roses. We're gonna go put our zombie heads down in our trophy room, which I'm probably gonna need to expand soon. Because I hadn't gotten a skeleton head yet, so that's nice. Actually, hold on. I want to move these somewhere else, because this is like my actual trophy room, right? I want to do something else with these guys. You know what? I'm going to use them to decorate the cauldron room. Alrighty, empty this out a little bit. Alrighty, yeah, I'm gonna use it to decorate this room. Alright, the shadows start to grow. I didn't realize until I heard this song right here that there's actually the faint echo of the song that this is associated with in the back. Okay, so we have those up. I don't know where... Oh, well, you know what, chat? I've kind of created an issue for myself, haven't I? I'll probably have to fix that. Alrighty. But, regardless of that, let's go put the other gilded stone in here. I'm so excited to get more gilded stone. Matter of fact, I might go to the Nether and try to get some of that. Because I like it. It's pretty... Alrighty, so the ones we got were Hecate, Igor, Fester, Edward, and Chucky. And again, I do think it was funny that one of the ones... Hello, cat. Sorry, my cat's in my lap because it is extremely loud with we had to turn on the heating this past week. The vent for it is in the like right outside the door to the office, so I kind of had to. I'm gonna tell you what I was about to say, but you have to promise to be nice. I just nearly said so I had to mute the vent instead of close the door. Oh my god. Oh, chat, will you still love me when I'm still this stupid? Because I guarantee I will be. Alrighty, let's see. And I'd love to mess around with the Crimson Sides, because again, it would make sense from a narrative perspective for Mordecai to have that. So for right now, these can go in here, because they are technically precious things. Which is what that chest is, by the way. That is the precious things chest. Let me go ahead and start setting up another chest. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. And I'm gonna put the potions in there, but I need to make more. Do I not have any wood on me right now? Hello? I will say, compared to some of the other servers I'm on, this is probably the server that I have the least amount of wood on, but it is the sorry. But it is the only server that I am arguably the richest person on the server. I don't know if I'm, like, officially the richest person on the server, but I'm arguably the richest person on the server. Because I think I'm still the only one with any netherite at all. Which I still need to get more of. Okay, so this way. Alrighty. As you can see, I am very extreme about my storage. But regardless, chat, regardless. So we got a splash potion of poison, a splash potion of weakness, another weakness, water breathing, and water breathing. Okay, cool. That works, that works. Clay ball, you could go in here for right now. And actually, I am going to move these things, because now that I'm thinking about it, you know? So we're going to move you to here. We're going to start a new miscellaneous chest. And by that logic, you could go in there. I'm going to rearrange the chest that's upstairs. I know you can't see me point, but I pointed upstairs. Alrighty, so let's take a bunch of this. So we can put it down there, even though, like, I don't want to have a bunch of netherrack, because I always end up loaded up on it like crazy, because I'll do, like, extensive netherite missions. Oh, and also we need to clear out some of the stuff in here. Hang on. Good, 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 good. Why did I use that chest and not the one in the court? Logan, your brain works in the most mysterious ways sometimes, I swear. Oh. Well, my parent has clearly heard a zombie. It is alarming every stinking time it happens. Because you're just sitting there and you're like, wait, why? Why not? Alright, we can set you there for right now. Hello, hello Luna, hello Stella. And yeah, Stella obviously has an actual name tag, but I know what Luna's named. So I'm mostly gonna keep, well, I don't actually know if I'm gonna keep anything up here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep farm stuff up here. Egg sack. Egg technically counts. That. We're gonna just move a bunch of the miscellaneous crap. And I will still need, like, books and stuff. It's just a matter of, like, getting into it, you know? But I was dreaming. I thought I was so lost, but now I know the truth. I was never astray, I was just dreaming. Alrighty, bop. Also, once again, yes, I have no idea why that's what I hear when I hear the main theme from Undertale. It's just what I hear. And I know that, right, like, my brain is like, oh, dreaming because Azrael Dreamer and stuff. Bruh, I just had, oh, man. So, okay. Obviously, like, I'm probably never gonna follow through on it, but sometimes I will occasionally entertain the idea of, like, if I did a drag performance, what I would do, like, what my name would be. Like, for some reason, my idea in my head for, like, my performer name was, like, The Little Prince, because I'm only, like, 5'2", and also, like, or, like, Little King, something like that. And I've always, like, really liked, like, royalty imagery, right? Um, but I just had a thought, how cool would it be to, like, have an Undertale themed night, especially with characters like Mettaton. Like, oh, that'd be so fun. Like, cause like some of my favorite theme nights that I've seen people do for drag performances are video game performances. Um, but like I always have these like hypothetical drag performances that come up in my head. Like, if I were to ever, this is what I would do, you know? I don't know. And I'm definitely not in a place that, like, would be conducive to... Oh, that's awesome, man! Yeah, like, I haven't seen any Mettaton ones, but I've seen a lot of Animal Crossing ones, which I find very funny. Especially, like, if they make it so it's, like, you have, like, the beleaguered, tired Isabelle, like, as a character, and she's just, like, running herself ragged. I always love, you know, stuff like that. And again, it's a no. hypothetically, maybe in the future, once I get to a place that's a lot more accepted, because I am in a very conservative tiny town. But yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. I know I said that I wanted to, like, work on the village, but now my brain's like, I know, I love the Animal Crossing ones. I don't know why they make me so happy. They just, they make my heart do the happy dance. Like, maybe it's because it's, like, two things I really appreciate, like, mushed together. But, like, I just, and I also like to see how people, true, I could. I'll have to keep that in mind. But, I really appreciate to see how people interpret stuff, especially if they're not doing it super literally. Like, I think one of my favorite Animal Crossing drag looks I ever saw was somebody did, like, I forget if it was Brewster or... Oh, definitely. But I forget if it was Brewster or... Why am I forgetting his name? What is the owl's name? Oh, no. Blathers. And I thought it was such a fun idea because I love the people who use, like, really long, like, bat wing sleeves to do, like, wing visuals for drag looks. Hang on, I just want to see what this one's name is. Gomez! We found Gomez Adams. But yeah, I like the visuals. Anyway, let's go. Alright. Good. Oh, what is his name? It's Wilbur and Orwell. I know are the two names. Or whatever it is, it's the name of the Wright brothers. I know one of them is named Orwell. I just forget which one is which. Alrighty, chat. Let's go. It's been a while. It was Wilbur? Okay. It's been a while since I've done Animal Crossing because, basically until they finally admitted, yes, they're gonna add the... Why am I digging extra? Hang on. 1, 2, 3. There. That's where I need to go. But, oh, come on, Braid. I know you can work sometimes. Please work right now. Oh, Braid. But that they finally admitted they're going to add the Brewster update. Brewster would actually be a really fun character, I think, to do for, like, any performance, let alone, like, drag. Like, he would be fun to just, like, do as, like, a cosplay or drag or whatever. Either way, he'd be really fun. My roommate, my spouse, what am I talking about? My spouse actually really, really likes Brewster, but I think it would just be fun to have like all the coffee shop aesthetics and stuff. Like it'd just be fun. And you could do like, I'm gonna date myself here, but you could do like a lot of old like beatnik style stuff. Because I don't know if like, I guess hipster would be the modern equivalent. Uh, and thankfully I didn't say so. Obviously this term was way, way before my time, but I had an old story that I wrote on for Fallout that used a lot of terms surrounded the concept of like a beatnik or a hipster. So I very nearly called him a hepcat, which is like the OG variant of beatnik or hipster. Um, and as long as I don't say that, I'm fine, because again, that's like actually beyond my time. It just gets stuck in my head. No. Bruh, you're gonna have to like, oh, that's awesome. I still need to actually put together, because I've been promising my chat for a while that I'm gonna do a New Vegas stream and specifically do it so it's like extra weird. So like have like weird weird wasteland or whatever. Definitely, I'd love to see that. Because you can't see it, but literally all around the back of my computer right now it's half of it's Dark Crystal and the other half is Fallout. Like those are like two of my favorite franchises. Yeah, for me it's a tie between 3 and New Vegas, and it's specifically because I grew up right outside of DC, so like just purely based on the fact that it's set around DC means that I adore it. But I will say, hang on, can I have like a quick little gripe about the design in Fallout 3? So okay, I know it was one of their early games, but compared to some of the other games, even New Vegas was a bit more accurate. I just have to gripe about the way that they designed the Natural History Museum and the fact that they clearly reference the Natural History Museum in New York and not DC. Yeah, I live in a desert now because I live in Utah, so I am particularly inclined to be appreciative to it. Oh yeah, but I love 3. I love the characters. I love everything, but it is so inaccurate. Like, the only thing they got correct was which end has the Jefferson and which end has the Washington Monument. And, like, some of the other museums aren't as, like, egregious as the Natural History Museum, but the front of the Natural History Museum in real life in DC is flat. It's not a U-shape. I think it's U-shaped out the back, but not out the front. Like, they got the dome and everything. The way, how did I phrase it to my I almost called them my roommate again. My spouse. I think I described it as postcard accurate. And by what I mean for that is they looked at a postcard and went kind of off of that. If that makes sense. Like, it's not super accurate, but New Vegas is pretty accurate from what I can tell. And especially the desolate nothingness that is between where you start and Vegas. I made that drive from where I live to Vegas. Or I haven't, my partner has, but we made that drive. When I tell you there is nothing, it is so spooky. It's like there's nothing, and then out of nowhere, a massive grove of Joshua trees. Well, massive for something that's endangered, you know? And then it just vanishes again, out of nowhere. It is the wildest thing. Alrighty. Oh man, my hands are so... It got super cold, super duper fast out here. And, like, I'm not complaining, because, like, obviously, I will take this over desert weather or not desert, but desert summer weather. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I forget the name of the one that we directly live on, like, on the edge of. I think we're pretty close to the Mojave. But yeah, I actually, back when I was doing D&D games and running them as a DM, I actually if I had a face camera, I'd show you. I literally still have the map for this. I did a Fallout New Vegas themed campaign, but it was going to be set in Arizona. And it was called Race to Two Suns. Oh, definitely. That is like one of my dream things. But yeah, so I had a bunch of towns that were like either directly taken from town names or like obviously with Two Suns, it's because Tucson, because sometimes Fallout does that. But I even had a couple based on the ends that I find that people don't pay attention to in Arizona. So, for example, I have an area in here that was going to be set up so it was a conflict between... It was going to be like one of the very few... definitely, one of the very few Brotherhood of Steel references. And it was going to be a conflict between the Brotherhood of Steel and... I don't know what the other group was, like if it was going to be Legion, because the whole point of this campaign was to take down the Legion, because obviously, whatever, but whatever the other opposing force was, that it was going to be between them and the Brotherhood of Steel, and I specifically set it on the edge of the Grand Canyon no one ever sets stuff on, so I set it on the North Rim, because the North Rim, I've been there, it's way prettier. Because the North Rim has actually got, like, lots of forests and trees and stuff around it. Like, you literally, you break through the tree line and just, there's the canyon. It's like, you just go from, like, I can't imagine the amount of people that, like, nearly tripped into the canyon because literally it just forest, drop. I definitely still have pictures of that on my phone. We may need to get back there one of these days before we inevitably move out. I don't know when that'll be, but, you know. Alright, let's see. The one thing I do miss about... So, I lived outside of DC when I was young, and then in, like... I know, like, that's the thing. Like, I technically have a Legion-aligned character, Ruddy Shale, but I cannot play them for the life of me because, like, I'm all, exactly what you said, I'm all for an Evil Alive playthrough, but then it just gets to that stuff, and I'll tell you the other reason why it's really particularly difficult for me as a character writer to do stuff with the Legion. So, I have another Fallout character, my Fallout 3 character is named... exactly. My Fallout 3 character is named, KG. And KG is an ex-slave in their universe, like they're an escaped one. And every time I try to do stuff with the Legion, I can just hear KG's voice in the back of my head, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, I could just feel the disapproving stare. And as a matter of fact, the funniest thing about my Fallout characters, right? Aside from Fallout 76, and even they came from a different location, all of my Fallout characters came from another major game's location, and I did not even do that intentionally. It started with my my Fallout 4 character, because that was the first Fallout I played. Which is the one that's just named after me, Logan, but I call him Patty because that was his call sign in the military. But Patty, he... Oh, come on, Braid. He was originally born in the Capital Wasteland, which was a direct reference to the fact that I grew up there. Then KG was raised out in the Mojave, and then made his way over to the Capital Waste, which is where he got picked up by Paradise Falls and such. Then my... Why am I trying to cut that with an axe? Then my Fallout New Vegas character, Copper, is a synth from the Commonwealth. And again, I didn't really intentionally do that, but it was kind of funny. And then you have my Fallout 76 character, her name is Nisha, who is I call her the grandma that can lift, because she is a very strong lady who's like in her like 60s, 70s, somewhere thereabouts. But she actually came from Nepal originally, so she's one of the ones that breaks the pattern of being from another games area. Uh, I need to draw more of her. She's really cool. She's also one of those people who, like, you cannot read her expressions, especially if you don't know her. But yeah, so, like, anytime I've tried to do, like, I can barely, like, do a Brotherhood of Steel run in Fallout 4, right? Like, I just, maybe my morals are too, like, strong or whatever, which I know isn't a bad thing, but I'm just like, I can't. I want to try to be an evil guy this round, but I just can't. Like, I'll make the characters for it and everything. I can't bring myself to actually go through with being horrible to people. Especially because, like, my two very favorites in Fallout 4 are Hancock and Nick. And I literally, I couldn't, I can't. I have to have my boys. And I'm like, I just, no. To the point that actually the settlement that I like the most in Fallout New Vegas is, I know, right? Is Nordhagen, which is based on a real-life beach that I've actually been to in Boston called, I believe it's called, why is my ear ringing? Oh, that's uncomfortable. It's called Constitution Beach, I believe. And I've been there. The weirdest thing about Fallout 4 is the fact that when I went to Boston, I had never been to Boston before in my life. We touched out, I knew exactly where I was. That is how, like, frighteningly accurate 4's map is. Like, I actually consider it a little creepy to a certain degree. Like, I was able, without GPS, to navigate us to the old state house, which is just literally in the middle of, like, a street, by the way. Like, literally, you're walking up the lane, and there's, like, a major street going through and a major street going by, and smack dab in the middle of it, untouched by time, is the old state building, or house, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, it's weird because it actually, to me, the way I found it actually kind of mirrored how I found Good Neighbor in my Fallout 4 playthrough, which was, I literally, so, I was trying to find, gosh darn it. I was trying to find, this end of the mine looks to be a little bit cursed. I might go back through and, like, start going back the other direction. But, regardless, what was I saying? In the game, what happened was I was trying to go through and find, like, a very specific, I think I was trying to find, oh my gods, why am I forgetting the name of it? The icon on the map looks like the Washington Monument. Why am I blanking? It's fine, it doesn't matter. I was trying to find a very specific, is it Bunker Hill? I think it's Bunker Hill. I think that's a thing. I'm pretty sure. I was trying to find that, right? And I ended up getting chased around by a couple of enemies and ended up literally backing into the Good Neighbor sign. And I have been trying to find Good Neighbor for a while, but I was too stubborn to use any, like, guides or whatever, because that's just how I am. I'm a very stubborn man. I told my partner, I'm like, there aren't very many times where I fit the whole, like, horoscope thing, but my stubbornness is the most Aries thing about me. But, what was I saying? But I ended up backing into the neon signs, and the reason I kind of was listening to or was even paying, I just heard the buzz of them, and I was like, oh, hello, you know? Because again, I have been trying to find it before, but I was struggling with it. Do I tempt fate? Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Nice, good, pog, alright. Bop, 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 bop. But yeah, like, the only thing I regret about my Fallout 4 playthrough and why I do want to do a new playthrough of it, even though I was super proud of what I had made and I do need to, like, re-download a bunch of mods in order to, like, make everything extra nice. I want to do another playthrough specifically so I can handle Hancock differently, because I didn't know that if you pushed him on his brother, or if you didn't push him about his brother, you wouldn't be able to do that side quest ever. So I got past the point of no return on that, and I genuinely want to do that quest. I just vividly remember the way that I was romancing him. Um, I don't know why I can remember this, but I specifically remember that it was the settlement that looks like a drive-in theater, or that is a drive-in theater. Uh, and I remember like slamming a bunch of chems and then going and talking to him because I buffed up the chances of everything, included how much he liked me and my like temporary like charisma. It was really funny. By the way, I found out that that particular settlement, so I have a mod installed that allows you to clean up like some of the trash and debris, but some of the stuff it allows you to delete was clearly not meant to be deleted because the ground under it is not solid. So that is the fast way of how I figured out not to mess around too much with my cleanup mod. There's another one, I believe it's Coastal Cottage, something like that. It's one of the teeny tiny ones. That also has a similar hole in the floor situation. Let's see. Yeah, like that. But I don't think that that was intended to be a hole in the floor kind of situation. Like, it was just, that's how it kind of turned out. But yeah, definitely Nordhagen Beach is absolutely my favorite. And I actually, on the blog for my, I don't know where I'm going. Where am I going? What am I doing? I'm not done yet. But on the blog that I have for my Fallout character, Shoreline Shelter, which is, so my character for Fallout, for what he did in the military was he was actually a trauma surgeon. So he actually has a fairly in-depth backstory. So he, when he was younger, Patty was actually in a gang called the Goldilocks, which again, it's a fictional gang. But basically, there was a point where there was some kind of like inner upheaval in the gang, and he ended up basically getting a Glasgow smile as a hey, we know you've done all this for us, but we don't need you anymore, but we also want to make sure that you're, you know, not like as hireable or whatever. Like I don't remember the exact reason I had for it because that wasn't the most fleshed out part of his backstory, but that is why he has like the scars on the cheek stuff. And then he basically got recruited by the military because, you know, they were like, hey, we know you're really struggling to find a job, and we know that, you know, your family has a background in this. We could give you training to be a military surgeon because we are in dire need of surgeons and stuff. And basically he's like, okay, you know. And then obviously everything that happened with, you know, the actual starting point of the game and whatever. And then partway through his story, he actually gets turned ghoul. And that was one of the first times I had a story that literally would not leave me alone until I wrote it, which I believe the title of that one is Still One Outlaw Left. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure. I know that all of his stories are under the category Hepcat History because that's the character that I was looking up to make jokes about hipsters with. But of course, to him, like, the most applicable term would be hepcat because you didn't really, the term hipster didn't exist. Well, if we take it as literally as being said in like the 50s, it didn't exist then. Even though I know that, like, technically it is set like in the future, it's just one of those things. It's just very hard to rationalize in my head. Oh my gosh, Derivacat is so talented, man. And again, I've said this many a time, but like, my one true goal as a streamer is either to get enough money to commission or have Derivacat write a song about one of my characters, because I'm just like, I just think they're so cool. Like, I genuinely think that people who, like, are, like, inclined through music like that are so cool. Because, like, I can sing, but I can't write songs to save my life. I'm gonna leave this for once I get Mendon, like these. I'm just gonna go through, like, what... Oh, gosh, darn it, gravel, I hate it. Come on. Oh, you... Ugh. Really? Really? Gosh darn it. Oh. Is this... I think this is a Carl song, because I haven't heard this album in full. But... Yeah, I think this is Carl's song. Because I know that Y is Rambu's song off of the album, which, by the way, breaks my heart. Like, specifically, like, the why did you lie? The way that Derivacat delivers that line is so intense, and I'm like, bro, I've been there. I just, my heart. and again, I'm definitely a softie, but, like, they did a very good job drawing out emotion on that line. And you know what I like about this? I'm gonna go a little quiet to see if you can hear it. Can you hear that ticking? That's typewriter sounds. Because I can hear the ding of the ribbon, too. But the ticking sounds like typewriter sounds. And I don't know if, if that's per se intentional, but I think it is. And that's a very, very nice touch. Alright. No! Also, something else I want to draw is, yesterday when I was playing Hypixel, I had that moment where I was playing the Halloween game and nobody was really showing up. And I talked about just standing there with my candy pail. I want to draw Mordecai, my piglin, with, like, a little Halloween costume and a candy pail, just kind of, like, sitting there looking sad because no one showed up, because I think it's kind of funny. Just like, why won't anyone come visit? I just think it would be very cute. I also need to, like, at some point design a cosplay for Mordecai. Like, I already know the wig I could use for it, even though, well, actually, that wig just recently had a bunch of length cut off of it, so I might not actually be able to use it. I used to use it for Dwenin and Sal, but it's the one that now has been repurposed for Wilbur. And because of the fact that... That would be really funny. I do need a new brown wig anyway, though, because, like, that one is, like, on its last legs, because, like, I got it from... I kid you not, that wig that I used for Wilbur was a $7 wig from Walmart. I am not kidding, by the way, and it's still one of the better wigs I own. But I didn't know how to take care of it originally, so, it's kind of in a bad state. I have a couple... like, I've only done, like, 5 videos, but it was mostly a closet cosplay. Yes, I cosplayed him before, but it was shortly after the Revive Burst stuff happened. I didn't wear my glasses at him, though, and I kind of want to get glasses for that. But, I also have a really weird, like, cursed blooper, if I recall, sitting in my drafts where I used, like, the anime eyes filter, and it didn't understand how to register, and it accidentally registered the top of my brow as the top of my eyes. Oh, yeah, the Rabu and Sam are the two that I do the most often. I did, and I think Wilbur's the only other one that I actually have a costume of. I've been considering doing Techno, but I'm going to be very picky about when I do Techno, because I am extremely, extremely picky about my Techno design. And, of course, the whole thing's going to look wrong to me because... Obviously, I tend to gravitate more towards anthropomorphic design, so I'm just gonna be like, I don't actually look like a pig, it's wrong. Specifically a Babarusa, is what he's based off in my world. But the one thing that I'm gonna have to do that I've never attempted to do before when I get his wig is, I'm gonna have to learn how to do a fishtail braid. And I know I'm going to get frustrated. And fun fact, I know I'm going to get frustrated because I actually tried to do one for Sam, but the particular wig I picked up for Sam, it was not cooperating. Because, like, for Sam, in my head, Sam is very, like, meticulous about his appearance in my head, but not in the way that Techno is in my head. To me, Sam, I do think Sam has fairly long hair, but Sam keeps it tied back to a very, very tight bun, because in my head I'm like, he works as a warden. He's not gonna want any like loose dangly bits that someone can grab, like, or that if they grab, control his head. Because like obviously in my version, I go off of the Centaur version for Sam, but like in the actual design I've done, I did it a while back. Like I think I designed Sam like. I think he was like the third or fourth Dream SMP character I did a design of. So, Ramu was first, or no, Techno was first, then Ramu, and then it was Foolish, I think, and then I think I did Sam. But I kept trying to do the hairstyle I had for him on the wig that I have, and the wig just was not having it. It was so sassy, which is fine. It's just one of those things that I'm like, gosh darn it. I could technically, if I thought about it hard enough, I might be able to scrap together a closet fill, but that's another one that I'm like, I'm very particular about the way I draw him, so I would be annoyed that it isn't what it is in my head. I do also definitely need to make... So I actually have a draft sitting somewhere. So back when I was into Steven Universe, which I still love Steven Universe, it's just not one of my active fandoms. The gem that I designed for myself is named Smithsonite. And it's actually... I think this is still true. If you look up Smithsonite Gem Soda, the one with the single most results is my Smithsonite. Because I would not stop drawing him. But they actually have, like, the way that I did them, I came out and was talking to my spouse while I was midway through putting on Sam's makeup, and I'm like, I like how I was going for Creeper, but I unintentionally, let me see if I can actually pull up a picture of Smithsonite. Hang on. Hang on, hold on. Let me add a source. Excuse me, add the source, please. Because I love Smithsonite dearly. Yes, I will give. Add new source instead. Smithy. Alright. Add source. Ba, 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 ba. Oh my gosh, the first thing it pulled up was some fan art I have of him. That's funny. Pictures. Finished. Where's my finished pictures? Hello? Hello? There they are. Alrighty, let's see. Where are you? And some of this stuff is like really old. I'm just trying to find the one with his current design. Alrighty, where are you, Smithy? Watch me accidentally get, like, killed in Minecraft because I'm busy looking this up. There you are. Do I have another one that's a little, like, less, like, actually a reference, and I have one that's, like, actually art? I think I have one somewhere. Oh, come on. I have to have a more recent one. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Let me just grab one of the older pieces, even though it's not his current design, that I like better. Because I don't like some of the current stuff I have of his current design, but... Where are you? Where did you go? There was a specific one I had in mind, and I've lost track of it. This is what happens when you don't name files properly. Where are you, my boy? Da-da-da-da-da-da. I could also just show fan art I've gotten of him. This one, this is the one I was thinking of. Alright, I don't know if it's gonna show it properly, but... This is the boy. So yeah, that's Smithsonite. And... Smithsonite's whole deal is... So, I'm gonna just... Smithsonite's whole deal is that they are... So, okay. Smithsonite is very sassy, right? And Smithsonite has a free pass on being sassy because in actual life, Smithsonite is an extremely, like, valuable gem. So literally, Smithsonite will intentionally challenge the diamonds because he knows he's too valuable to be shattered. So intentionally messes with the diamonds. All right, let's... Yes, I want to remove that. Thank you. Okay, back into it. But, so when I was drawing my Sam design, I'm like, it just looks like Smith's, or not drawing, but doing the one that I did for my videos. I'm like, it just looks like Smithsonite. So I have like a random video out there where I have that girl who was like, okay, this is what I wanted, right? The pastels, and this is what I got. That audio, I have a video of it where I held up my Sam design and then I held up Smithsonite. Because, like, again, there are certain things that I cannot physically do with my Sam design. Like, I can't intentionally give myself, like, a very strongly cleft lip or whatever. Like, there is only so much I can do without making full-on prosthetics, and I am not as confident in that. Like, I mean, this is the first character I even gave, you know, like, non-human ears to that weren't, like... Oh, gosh darn it. Come on, please. That weren't like, you know, how do you phrase it? They weren't like fabric and sewed and stuff. Because, like, obviously with my Rambu, I sewed those because there's no way in heck I could get prosthetic ears that would fit what my version of Rambu has with those big old deer ears. And like with Rambu, obviously there's only like so inhuman I can get him. I can be very weird and fussy about things when it comes to, like, designs, because I'm like, I don't like making my designs really very human-y. Like, that is something that I made multiple jokes about. Like, probably the one that I could never cosplay, especially my version of, like, I would have to create an entirely new idea for, is my version of Dream XD. Because one... In my head, Dream XD doesn't have a true form. Like, they are a concept. They aren't even, like... If you wanted to get into the semantics of it, I don't even think that Dream XD even really has a physical body unless they will themselves into having a physical body. They are just a literal idea. But they are basically an eldritch horror to me, and I'm like, I want to be an eldritch horror, you know? Because, like... I mean, even my Soda Bowie, who's the Raven that's in my icon, even they, you know, have 4 eyes and stuff, and like technically they have antlers. I like the icon too much that because that was from before their official redesign. So I'm like, no, I like the icon too much. I don't want to do it. No, thank you. And right, like maybe some of that pickiness comes from the fact that like a lot of my early cosplays are fursuit cosplays. So, like, I literally can be the thing. But, yeah. Ooh, that sounds awesome! Yeah, and, like, right, like, the only times that, like... Exactly, like, the only times I would probably be willing to go, like, humanoid with Dream XD is specifically the idea of using it to, like... I don't know if trick is the correct word, but to put other people at ease so that they're easier to, like, deal with, if that makes sense. Specifically, like, kind of a more literal variant of Be Not Afraid, but then a lot of my version of Dream XD was specifically inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing. There were a couple of very specific... ones that I took inspiration from. So there was... I don't want to show it on stream because I don't want to get in trouble. But there's a very specific scrapped one that they had, that you had the normal part of the man's face, but then as you got to the other half, it split off into this giant bob and worm looking mouth, which think like if you've seen like an antlion, kind of like that. Or if you've seen a bob and worm. Bob and worms are nightmares, and they scare me. Even though, like, I'm all about creepy crawlies, just bob and worms and camel spiders are, like, the ones that, like, you know? Anything with, like, very strong, pinchy-looking jaws just kind of gets a little bit under my skin to a certain degree. We're probably going to go back up here in a second. Why did I do that? We're going to go back up here in a second. But, I will say the one thing about bob and worms that's really cool is they're iridescent and shiny and beautiful. Like, their actual body is like rainbows. You know another character that I've kind of wanted to do for a while now, and technically it's two characters, but they are father and son, so it kind of can work. I've wanted to do Snufkin and the Jockster from Moomin for so long, and I, like, need to get on that. Because I think they would be so much... Anything from Moomin, really, would be so much fun. I just really love that series. Like, Torva did a really good job. I always pronounce her name wrong, because... Finnish. I know, like, Moomin is one of my big comforts. I actually have a whole backpack that's just full of Moomin stuff. It's like... My comfort series come in two forms. Actual comfort series that, like, would make sense to people like Moomin, right? Like, ones that are, like, actually comfortable, because, you know, it's just Finnish Winnie the Pooh. And then things like Venom and Fallout that are like, why are these your comfort series? And I'm like, I don't care, shut up. Give me the body horror, it's fine. I need to, like, touch up my, the Venom-inspired outfit I had for Dapper Days that I did for Disney once, because, like, it's starting to look a little sad. Especially the hat, because the hat was actually, because it's a bowler hat, it was actually back when Disney, I think they recently re-released this, but it was the original release of them. They were doing a bunch of different hats inspired by the rides, and they had a bowler hat inspired by Haunted Mansion, so the hat band is the purple Haunted Mansion wallpaper. But yeah, I definitely needed to do that. And I can't wait, my very dear friend, Shrine, ordered me back when the pre-orders were up, basically as a, you've been working really hard here, ordered me the Rambo flop from, what is it called? U2's. And I'm just like, where's my boy? But I know it's not the release time yet. It's like about a month until the first dates. But I'm like, please. These memories, discoveries. Stay with me, turn time. Uh-oh. I know, right? That's me. Because, like, I know. And, okay, I'm going to throw shade on another one of my friends. Just a little bit of shade. But they saw the one that I ordered and they were like, why didn't you order the sit one? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, because the sit one is very clearly a display one that is not as cuddly. I want the one that like the comfort object that you can like set on your shoulder. and then, right? So he particularly likes techno, which I can't blame him. Techno's who got me into the Dream SMP. It was specifically, okay, here, I'll tell you exactly how I got into it. I saw the clip of... And this is long before I finally broke and decided to watch it, but I saw the clip of Wilbur coming back in the Pongtopia arc and asking Techno how long he'd been on, and Techno's like, I haven't logged off. That's like 14 hours, Technoblade. The revolution waits for no man. That was my first exposure to any of this. And I was like, that one, I want to know more about him. And then Rambu's who kind of drew me in more, because I actually remember when Rambu was making his very first, I should be a part of the Dream SMP videos. And again, this is before, like, I finally broke and started watching it. But Rambu was the other one I'm like, this one's cool. And then you have Philza, who is the reason that I stayed. Because, like, I cannot like, exaggerate how much comfort Phil brings me. partially because one, he's very honest about a lot of stuff, and talking about, look, you have to do like specifically with streaming, he's like, you have to do this because you want to, because you have to like truly want it, and I do want it, you know, like, and not necessarily, and he made it very clear, he's like, if you do this just for money, you're gonna be very disappointed very quickly, and like, he just brings an insane amount of like, I don't even know, because alright, I don't like the term comfort creator, like, it just, it gives me weird vibes, I don't know how to, like, explain it, it just makes me feel a little funky. But like, he, of the Dream SMP members, he's probably the closest, and he's like the reason that I know never to look at the viewer count. You know, he's given so much good relatable advice, and like, right, the other reason I think that I like him a lot is I'm fairly close in age to him. Exactly, fun for self first. Like, for me, I did it for a structure so that I don't feel like I literally am just stuck in the house all day, because I lost my job back in March of 2019, I think, because I ended up getting a severe hand injury that it has basically turned into permanent nerve damage. And in order to kind of, like, prevent my brain from doing the full doom and gloom, oh, we're never gonna, you know, ever have anything again, I started streaming, because I'm like, that is something that I can physically do, with the means that I have, and that is why, you know, and like, at this point, I've just kind of come to terms with it, like, it is what it is, like life stinks and we're just a part of it, but then again, I also find, like, extreme comfort in existentialism, so, but, he really does, like, again, as somebody who's similar in age range to him, it's nice to see someone, like, our age, like, still doing stuff like this and whatever. But yeah. I need to do one of those Mama said that it was okay things, but have it be like, oh, you know, only young streamers, people only want to watch young streamers, and then have, like, Mama said that it was okay and have Phil's picture. Also, I can't get over that random picture of Phil, Kristen, and Quackity that they took when they met up while Phil is over in America. And the fact that literally I can pick out the reason why Quackity literally looks like their child. Like, he's got, like, Phil's nose and mouth, and he's got Kristen's eyes, eyebrows, and, like, hair complexion. And, like, skin tone, but he literally looks like their kid, and it's the weirdest thing. It's so strange. And I love the people who are like, he looks like their emo child. Because, like, obviously he wears the beanie and stuff. Yes, I know, like, he hasn't gone bitter, and that makes me really happy. Like, I think the only other one that is comparable in terms of hasn't like, bittered in his old age. I shouldn't say old age, I'm the same age as them. But, I believe Captain Sparkles is about to turn 30. And he is pretty good in terms of not turning bitter. Oh, this way, okay. Ba-da-da. Yeah, Quackity definitely looks like their child, it's so weird. Alright, there we go. But yeah, I remember actually, fun fact, Mystery, part of the reason I followed you, other than the fact that your costumes are that awesome, I followed you because you were my age, pretty much. Like we're only like a few years apart. And I'm like, I need older friends in this community because it feels weird because everyone who's following me and interacting with me is young and it feels wonky. It doesn't feel right. Because, like, when I was starting out TikTok, I wasn't super picky about, like, who I followed back and stuff, but now it's gotten to the point that, like, I feel a little skeeved out if people are too young, because, like, I remember the first time it happened. The very first time it happened, I could vividly remember what it was. So this was back when the only content I created was furry content. I had someone who, in their bio, admitted to being 8 years old follow me, and after that, I was like, no, gross. And then I lost their username, so I don't know if they still follow me. Like, I think I blocked them, but, like, I can't be sure. Yeah, like, it's one of those things where, like, it depends on the person, right? Like, if they're, like, anything younger than 16, I refuse to follow. Like, at least now. Like, again, back when I was starting, I didn't really understand that, like, I don't have to follow everyone back, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I started, and then I was like, oh, this is, you know? And I will say, the other thing that, like, I find that surrounding myself with the older people in communities does that I really appreciate is if it's a situation, like, they tend to be a lot more chill and willing to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And that's not shade at younger creators. It's just younger people tend to be much faster to outrage before taking a second to think. And again, I know that sounds terrible, but I find that the older someone is, the more deeply they're willing to look into a situation before just taking something at face value. And again, it totally depends on what it is. But, like, they just kind of mellow. I know, exactly. It's like... And maybe it's because, right, like, I lived through, and am still on, but I've been on Tumblr since 2011. Like, I'm tired of being tired, man. Like, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, there is a difference between, what I basically come to the conclusion in my head is there is a difference between things that are actively going on and actively hurting people and spreading actively harmful rhetoric. So, like, let's take J.K. Rowling, for example. Like, she does not deserve her platform because she is actively spreading harmful rhetoric, right? Unlike things of outrage culture, like, we were just talking about Phil, so let's bring up the one that people tried to cancel Phil over, which was him saying the R word like 5+ years ago when it was normalized. And I'm like, but he's not still spreading actively harmful and hateful rhetoric, and it's not a crime. Because, like, crimes are different to me, right? Like, crime is crime. Like, that is point blank period. Oh, Streamlabs? No, bad Streamlabs. Bad Streamlabs. Why'd it do that? Streamlabs said no. I need to go in and touch that up. I'm sorry, Mystery. Streamlabs, I know you're doing the best, honey, but you're doing too much. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna need... yeah, I need to change that. Because it's fine. I'll fix that after stream. But, actually, let me write that down. Fix... I actually have it named my Streamlabs moderator. Stream mod, because my auto mod through Twitch is named Ophelia. I'm gonna name Streamlabs Huxley, and I have a very specific reason for doing that. So Ophelia, I specifically named them because Abney Park was a band that I was... Yes, very true, Mystery. That is very true. They are much faster to fall for it. Because, like, for me, you know, what I tell people in terms of handling trolls, and mind you, I've been in the furry fandom so long that I'm very, very used to it. The thing that I tell people is either Gray Rocket, like, don't respond at all. Oh, no. No, but there's netherite there. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay, I'm gonna have to try and go get that. But what I tell my, like, kids that are looking for advice about dealing with trolls, I tell them very simply, the other thing that really annoys them is if you respond, but not in the way they want. So one of my favorite things to do is to send them the, like, winky kissy emoji, because I think it's funny. Alrighty, so it's like there. But here's the thing, I don't know. I think I saw more. Oh, here's the... Yeah, that's what I saw. I thought I saw that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna try to do. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Great idea! That's genius, Mystery! But yeah, I just said the winky kiss emoji, and I vividly remember one guy going, "No, there's something seriously wrong with you. You're, like, sick in the head." And I'm just like... You know, like, I think it's hilarious when people, like... And again, because I've been in some fandoms that are, like, super maligned, like, I am extremely non-bothered. Oh, I'm concerned about this one. Hang on, let me real quick try to do something. Because I need to... Yeah, that's exactly what I was worried about. Oh, dear, how am I gonna do this? Because, right, my concern is that... Oh, dearie me, oh, dearie my. I think I'm just gonna go for it. If I lose it, I lose it. It's no big deal. Alrighty. Let's see. Alright, please pop into my hand. Please pop into my hand. Come here, come here. Okay, we got him. Rescue mission complete. Alrighty, very good, very good. Whew. Alright, and we can just leave this alone now. Alright, let's go back up top side. But yeah, like, the only trolls that actively bother me now are ones that, like, are intentionally trying to get people in trouble, you know? Like, they're trying to get people to say things in a concerted manner. Like, I'm not gonna say what this person specifically said to me, but I had someone on my TikTok live yesterday try to get me to say a slur because they said, "Do you want to know my pronouns?" And the way that they said it, if you say it fast enough, it sounds like a slur. And I went through and what I did, yep, mass report and false things, yep. I ended up going through and blocking all variants of that concept that that term that I could find. Because one of the things that I also find that younger members of communities aren't willing to do, and this is just in general, like, it's just a personal thing that bothers me, and maybe it's because I learned to do this through Tumblr in terms of, like, that it is a good thing and it's self-care to me, is the liberal use of a block button, and also the liberal use of muting certain words. So, like, for me, like, sometimes it's for safety, right? Like, I have a bunch of random towns muted so that... Yeah, they don't block much either. I have a lot of, like, random towns blocked, so even if somebody tries to put my actual town in chat, and it gets blocked, I can say, "Hey, look, I have, like, 1,000,001 different cities in Utah blocked." Like, I just genuinely have a ton of cities blocked because that way they can't basically use that to confirm what their suspicions are, right? And that's a trick I learned from, oh gosh, like, my live journal days. And yeah, they always are hesitant. But the other thing I tell people is you could always unblock something. Probably the term that I blocked that brought me the most joy because it ended a lot of arguments was I blocked the terms like God, Jesus, Lord in my Twitch chat because I had so many people coming in and preaching to me to the point that I was getting, like, genuinely annoyed because religious trauma. But is it really a day until I joke about, you know, but and that I actually made that recommendation to somebody who was talking about how they just kept getting these people coming in and preaching to them in their chat, and I'm like, just block the terms. And it's never been bad here, right? It's never... Oh yeah, definitely fair. The only reason I'm not open about the city that I live in is because it is such a small town that if I did, people would be able to find me. Like, because there's only, like, 5,000 people that live where I live. Maybe more, maybe less. I haven't checked in a while. And so that's why, like, I don't even say, like, some of the stuff that I live around, right? Like, there are certain, like, monuments that I could talk about. Like, the closest I'm willing to get is I do live vaguely close to the Grand Canyon. Like, I live an hour away from it. But any of the closer ones can be used to triangulate, so nah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I feel you there. Like, if I ever do move to a bigger city, that's definitely gonna become a thing. Is me, I will be much more open about where I live. But for right now, I do not live in a big enough city that I feel comfortable doing that. I know that I wanted to go down there and get Blackstone, but I'm also like, do I want to go back to the Nether, really? And the answer is probably yes. Because I do want to do stuff with Blackstone, especially if I can find a bastion and get gilded Blackstone. Because I don't know if you could just make that. Oh, cool. Yeah, at some point we're probably gonna move. I don't think we're gonna stay in state, like in Utah, because like as much as certain parts of Utah are nice, it is still Utah. And yeah. I believe currently we're still thinking about Washington State. But it's just gonna take a while. That or Oregon, something like that. I don't know why my brain just played this clip from Coraline. My brain played the clip of one of her two friends saying gone to Oregon, and I'm like, I hate that so much. Yeah, Texas is definitely scary now. I need to listen to Wilbur's new EP at some point after stream. Nice. He's infatuated. Mentioned far-flung social policies. His daddy works on the council. The spoon. Ever date or kiss Tori. What am I talking about? It's too good to lose. Alrighty, very good. Also, I find it very interesting the difference between the album covers for Pebble Brain and Are You Alright? Because, like, very different aesthetics, and I think it's neat. Because a lot of times, early band stuff, they don't tend to go away from their traditional aesthetic until, like, their third or fourth EP, typically. But I just think it's neat. You know who I need to see if they've released new music? There's a punk band that I adore called The Oozes, which, if you've heard that sound that's like, you've ruined the color blue for me, I'm surrounded by a deep, dark sea, that is by The Oozes. And they are really cool. It's a queer-led band. I'm fairly certain all of the members are somewhere in the queer community, I think. But they're really cool. And, like, a lot of their stuff is very, like, classic punk-inspired. Whereas, like, obviously with Lovejoy, you could tell that there's a lot of ska influence with Lovejoy. It's in the horns, man. It really is. But the Oozes are much more traditional punk. But yeah, they're really good. What's right? Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things that almost feels like they're out of a different era. Like, it feels like they're out of the early 2000s, because, like, it almost sounds like, I forget which band did the Aquabats theme song, but it reminds me of the... And again, I always think about the Aquabats theme song because of that guy. Oh my gosh, what's his name? He's the one that two-step dances whenever, like, a horrible person has something horrible happen to them, and he does it to the Aquabats theme song, the... We're on our way, here we go, we're gonna take over. That song. He's funny. That guy's very funny. Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, there was a point where it was a lot less soft. I also need to like try to find if there's a place to even watch the Aquabat show, because like I remember I really liked it. I just don't remember if there's a place to still watch it. Going to his fly, a Capricorn of fuck that. They say sex sells a note that. Alright, good. And I think for my TikTok stream today, I'm probably still gonna do Hypixel because like that's a very easy thing to do on stream or on my TikTok streams because like there's not as much stake in whether or not I have good footage of it, if that makes sense. But yeah. Anyway, I want to know like what's directly above me that I'm hearing gas because I'm at netherite level, but I'm still hearing a lot of gas. Oh, Taunt is so good. I still think that One Day is my favorite, but that's just purely because, like, it's one of those songs that you could just, like, scream at the top of your lungs, if that makes sense. Although I do know that I'm going to be messed up by whatever the first song on Pebble Brain is, because literally, I don't know if I said this earlier, but the first line is literally, you have your daddy's eyes and his temperament too, and I'm like, I think I said that earlier, because I was talking about daddy issues, but yeah, like, my ADHD just kicked in full swing. I can't remember what I said. But yeah, like, especially because, like I said, daddy issues. I do not have a good relationship with my old man. So that song's going to mess me up, but probably in a good way. It's gonna be like one of those cathartic ones that you just scream at the top of your lungs. Alright, let's see. Although, the one thing I will say about Pebble Braid's album cover that I do like, because I don't dislike Pebble Braid's aesthetic, I really like Are You Alright's aesthetic, so I was kind of surprised that they went with a much sunnier visual. But, with Pebble Braid, I really like the way that they did the title, where it kind of looked either like a cloud or a rock or something, where everything was all nice and loopy. It was really pretty. Also, I heard a random clip of Wilbur that just, like, kinda broke my heart, low-key, high-key. There was a random clip of Wilbur where he said, I don't even think that I'm a good musician or that I have a good voice. And I'm like, sir, you could literally sing the phone book to me and it would count as high art. Like, he has one of those very timeless, classic voice. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of a more modern, higher-pitched version of Hosier. Or Hosier, however you say his name, where it's that kind of very classic, deep, rich sound, but he's a little bit higher on the spectrum, but it's a very similar vibe. And I also find that those are very similar things with their songs, where it's like, it's the kind of song that you could just, like, scream at the top of your lungs and, you know, get all the anger out. But then again, like I said, considering I personally think that Lovejoy is very ska-inspired, they are on the punk spectrum, so, like, it does make sense. Because I hate it when people are like, they try to, like, exclude ska from punk, because I'm like, no, ska is 110% punk, it's just a different style of punk. And I know that, like, it became kind of a funny thing to, like, for a while in the mid-2000s to make fun of, like, ska, but I'm like, it's still good music, mate. Like, yes, 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 yes. Exactly. That makes a lot. That makes a lot. Yeah, like, for me, like, a lot of people, like, don't realize that I can sing because my singing voice is very different, but it's because I was in choir for years. Now, mind you, my voice is a lot shakier than it used to be because after I went on, you know, hormones, obviously, the voice did some funny things. But yeah, like, I actually showed that clip of him singing the Adventure Time song. Yes, yes, definitely. But I showed that clip to my spouse, and what I said was, the way I just melt when he sings like this. Because, like, my favorite things that he sings are when he's singing very gentle stuff, or, like, when he's singing, like, old songs, like either sea shanties or... I think the first one that I had that reaction to in terms of I just kind of melted was when he was singing "If I Had Been Born 200 Years Ago, I Would Be a Sailor and a Sailor I Would Go." That song, I just melted. Also, my favorite part about that clip of him playing the Adventure Time song was the fact that he started playing it with the omnichord, and he genuinely was like, when chat started flipping out, he was like, "You understand it? You understand why it's cool?" And I'm like, "Bro, I don't think that's why they're flipping out. I think they're flipping out because like it's you singing a song that a lot of people find massive comfort in." And yeah, he just like that. He doesn't even need to warm up. He's an incredibly impressive vocalist. And the other thing is, because it just sounds like his speaking voice, he sounds extremely genuine when he sings. Exactly, yeah. He could just go into it immediately. But he sounds so real. Uh, I also am like, I would love to see him do some like voice acting or something. I'm not even sure what for, but I would love to see him try voice acting because I know Rob has talked about wanting to do voice acting, which would be fun. But I genuinely think that like Will would take to it really well. But yeah, especially because he would bring an extremely he and Eric, those two would both bring an extremely distinctive edge because one, their voices are fairly deep, right? But they also have that very particular British accent that I'm not even sure what region it's from, but like it's why a lot of people who are from that region get confused with each other, especially if their voice is in a similar range of like depth or lightness or whatever. Because I'm pretty sure it was either Will or Eric, one of the two. Everyone kept asking if they were the same person for a while. I haven't seen her Deltarune stream. I need to check that out because that's gotta be so good. I need to like actually sit down and record like dub over some Deltarune comics because I love, specifically, probably my favorite voice that I do for Deltarune is Lancer because it's like, "Welcome back, Cloud." Like it's a stupid like funny voice, and I just really like to do voices. But yeah, like the other one who I haven't seen their Deltarune playthrough yet that I desperately want to see is Jacksepticeye, because there are very few people in my head who I cannot hear a character without their voice. I cannot hear Flowey in any voice other than Jax. Because everyone does a kind of similar Papyrus, so it just depends on which Papyrus you like. Like, I really like Jax Papyrus, but that's because I heard him first. I had such a good time with that. Like, genuinely, that it's why I want to like actually like pick. I might actually do this like pretty soon. We'll see. But I want to go ahead and like replay Undertale. And specifically, I want to do it so that I can have it cataloged because no. Where are you? Where is it? Where? Huh? Hello? I have no idea where the skeleton is. Hello? Jiminy Jams, go away. Shut up. No, I'm not a wimp. I didn't just accidentally, like, use a pickaxe. This is why we need to have the tunnels lit, because otherwise this happens. But, I know, it made me jump too. Not as bad as some of the other things, like, there was that one time I had a pigman come around a corner and just jump scare the crap out of me. But yeah, I definitely need to, like, play Undertale on stream. And I don't know if I'm ever going to do genocide runs of Undertale or Deltarune. I also need to play Deltarune Part 1, as a matter of fact. But if I do both of those, they're going to have a long break in between the two of them. Because with both, there are two specific voices that make it really hard for me not linguistically, but they're hard on my throat, which is Susie's voice, which is like down here, and it's really raspy and growly. So, and then Undyne, which is very similar, but she's a little more high-pitched, you know? Like a little higher. And she tends to get a little squeaky. And then, like, Papyrus is just like, yeah, like, you know, he's very, like, everyone does Papyrus the same way. The only one who I struggle with doing their voice on a regular basis is probably Flowey/Azriel, which is exactly why I think I struggle with Ralsei's voice, because I'm still not sure exactly how I want to do those two. Like, with Azriel/Flowey, I like them to sound a little younger, because they look a little younger than Ralsei. Whereas with Ralsei, I just kind of did, like, my voice, but a little doofier. I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, I just... What am I doing? Oh, I was gonna go drop that off. But yeah.
But yeah, like, when I was doing Azriel, I was doing a lot more like this. Like, a smaller, softer...
kind of voice, you know? But I do think probably my very favorite to do is almost without question Alphys, because she's just kind of, you know, nervous, and when she stops, she's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like that kind of thing. I really enjoy doing voices. It's genuinely one of my favorite part about story-driven games. Although before I do those, I might want to do, yeah, very nasally. I'm considering doing, because one of the things that I've been talking about playing for a while on stream is playing Frambo. I almost said it like Rambu. I almost did the thing again. But Frambo is one that I'd really love to do a full playthrough of, because I love horror games that are scary, not inherently just because they're gory, because, right, like, a lot of the fear in Frambo comes from the gore aspect, but I find that the other large part of what scares me in Frambo is, as somebody who went through a lot of, like, medical stuff, and, you know, like, I you know, I'm not gonna get too much into detail, but I have ended up in, you know, situations very similar to Fran. Her story just strikes me from a perspective of, like, the fact that this very much used to happen, and a lot of my memories of what happened to me can kind of parallel it, because I think Fran is 10, which is fairly close to what my medical trauma age range was. But I just think it's a genius storytelling game, and some of the, like, cool things to me are the fact that it almost seems like, even though it's scarier, the alternate world is actually, a lot of the creatures there are friendlier to Fran than, like, the real world. I just think, and I'm pretty sure that's intentional, right? Like, just kind of a escapism, you know, like, sort of thing where it's like, they may seem scary to you, but they are her friends kind of energy. It's so good. And I love, you know, a lot of the stylistic things. The only thing I don't know is if I'm going to need to put, like, a mature filter on my stream for it. I'm not sure. I'll see. I'll look up and see what other people recommend for it. But anyway, I'm just chuckling because I'm remembering, Wilbur, like, popping off over something, and whoever he was streaming with was like, "I'm so glad that I decided to set my stream to mature today." It was really funny, because I think he made, like, some kind of, like, illegal substance joke. I don't remember exactly what it is, nor do I really want to repeat it. But, I'm just gonna use up this flippin' netherrack, man. But it was just genuinely hilarious. Alrighty, let's go. Pow, 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 pow. And I need to catch up on Hermitcraft. Like, I used to be a little more well-versed in it. But Hermitcraft is one of the ones I'm like, of all the, like, big-name SMPs out there, whenever people are like, oh, would you want to join the Dream SMP? I'm like, well, I don't think I'm a good fit for the Dream SMP. But also, I'm like, I think I would much prefer to do something like, I haven't heard this track, that's interesting, but I would probably much rather be in something like Hermitcraft, you know? Because for one, the stakes aren't as high, but also destruction isn't like a very real threat, you know? And mind you, a lot of like, yes, I believe Scott is in Third Life, I think is one of the ones that Scott is in. It's whichever one that he's in with the little Schmidt is one of the ones I'm like tangentially aware of. Who, fun fact, the only streamer I have ever gotten a random gifted sub to ever was Schmidt. I think Epic SMP's another one he's in, yeah. It's so hard to keep track of them. Because a lot of these creators are in so many. Bow, 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 bow. Oh, I love Origins. I need to just start doing Origins designs because I have very specific ideas in mind for Sneeg, and it's inspired by, so one of my single favorite Inchling Sneeg designs that I ever saw was somebody who designed him to look like the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland, because they're like, he's an Inchling, he's an inchworm. Even though I know that it's probably meant to more parallel like a halfling from like. But also, can I talk about how much I love how the specific ways Sneeg shuts down like people who are being weird in his chat? Like, I was there the other day, and he was looking for games to play with Tubbo that were multiplayer, and people kept suggesting horror games, and he's like, and he sat them down, and he's like, y'all, I've told you this many times, I want a game that I can play with him, and he doesn't like horror games. Even if he's played them before, he doesn't like them. And he basically schooled his chat. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, bro, you are on the money there. That's awesome. But, he basically was like, y'all, like, being able to make recommendations like this is a privilege, and you aren't listening to me, and I'm this close to, like, not allowing you guys input on that anymore because you guys never listen to this. And then people were talking about, well, he played The Forest with Robin. He's like, yes, but he doesn't like them. Because he talked about, like, he's like, it's how, like, I may have played FNAF, but I hate it, you know? He is so interesting to watch interact with his chat, especially because his chat is usually smaller, so he's able to keep up with it more. Matter of fact, he's like responded verbally to me a couple of times. I think my favorite things that I've seen Sneeg done are because if I recall, Sneeg's previous major was, yes, Sneeg's previous major was something to do with criminology, and basically he had to sit someone down who was like popping off and spreading a bunch of misinformation about crime stuff when they were watching. It was some interview, police interview, and this person was being stupid, and it reminded me a lot of. So I had to take a government class in my college. I'm not even sure why. I just did. I think it was that or calculus. So, but I didn't do super great because obviously I am not very big on government stuff. But one of the things that I did then that I still do was the only course that I gave a crap about, or like part of the course that I cared about, was the criminology section. And I vividly remember getting into like an actual argument with the class about whether or not it was legal to go through someone's mail if it was in their trash. And I'm like, I literally, at some point, I vividly remember slapping my hands on the desk and going, if it is in the trash can, on the curb, it is on public property, it is considered public property, you cannot claim trash. Like, I vividly remember getting into a shouting match, or not a shouting match, but like sternly talking to someone because they were like insistent, well, it's their trash though, and I'm like, if it is on public property, it is, as much as I hate to admit it, it is legal. Shut up. Oh, Typer revived. Honestly, this is, to me, one of the single most impressive songs that Derivacat has ever put out, by the way. And the reason I say that is because they're very, and I mentioned this earlier with the typewriter, they are very good about using sounds that are related to their subject. It's probably my favorite too of theirs. But what I find very compelling is that tick. I am pretty sure that ding, ding, that one. I am pretty sure that is taken directly from the sound that I believe it's trolley cars, but any of the cable cars make uh, when their upper wheel hits the poles. It's definitely pulled from some form of transportation, but I just think it's neat. They're very good about using things like that to their advantage. And they're just really creative. Again, that's why I'm like, I would love to commission them to make a song about one of my characters. This is my dawn. This is what I've waited for all along. All of this time. All this is mine. I can't even get into like proper crazed mindset without being afraid that I'm gonna blow people's ears out. Alright, good. But I think that they captured kind of the unhinged energy of Revive Burr really well. It's just, oh, it's so good. Chef's kiss. But again, I like almost every single thing they've done. Just like in general, they're really good. And I love when they collaborate with, is it CG5 or 5CG? Something like that. The guy who wrote Vibrant Eyes. I think that when they collaborate, like, they could rule the world. He is. He genuinely is like, y'all, he's a feral little goblin, and y'all made him, like a cool boy. And I'm like, bruh, you really can't be that surprised when literally, like, people were already all over your character before. Like, the fact that people were willing to forgive the Sally situation, like, if they're willing to put up with that, they're willing to put up with about anything for your character. And I like that people were just like, after the Reviver stuff happened, just then realizing, oh, he's a dad. We could call him, you know, a DILF. And it's like, he's been a dad for most of, you know, yes, they do shrimp for him. Absolutely. I know that I love to point that out to people. I'm like, Wilbur is one of those people who, like, everything he makes, he intentionally makes it. He's like, where's that? Am I attracted to this? No. Am I? That kind of thing. He's funny. He's a funny guy. I do love that people are like, please stop making cursed lore. And I'm like, if you wrote your own lore, you wouldn't have to worry about, like, specifically Phil. Phil's like, why? And I'm like, Phil, maybe if you took the reins, he wouldn't be able to make cursed lore for you. But at the same time, it's really funny. Because again, one of my favorite clips was the practice for, I believe it was the MCC before the one that's coming up. When it was Yellow Yaks. I'm pretty sure it was the practice for that stream. No, it wasn't. It was the one before that, because it was when it was Will, Phil, Tommy, Rambo. Oh, I hear a axolotl, but I'm a little bit too much of a coward to maybe attempt to get, maybe. I don't know. Hang on. Let me see how close this cave is. I know, and Will was like, I love that you could tell he leaned into his mic, right? And he goes, and Phil, I'm afraid to say that you did get down and dirty with a breach or whatever he said, and then Phil just goes, come on! It was so funny. I love it, man. It makes me laugh. Alrighty, bow, bow, bow. Good. Let's see. Also, I did have to chuckle at... So, occasionally my spouse and I will watch. There's a commentary group, I think they go by Razzle, that will, like, react... They'll get, you know, intoxicated and watch movies and, like, live react to them. Watching them react to Coraline was one of the funniest things in the world, because none of them knew that the theater scene with I forget if it's Mrs. Fink or Forcible, but whichever one's the tall one with the boobs. They had no idea that scene was coming, and they were in such shock. I think everyone who has ever seen that scene has just been so stunned by it. Okay, I'm clearly not finding whatever I'm trying to look for. Let's not get too lost. But it was so flippin' funny. All right. Alright. How much? I actually would like to find some lava if I can to dump off this useless crap. Oh yeah, like literally as I was watching, this wasn't something that occurred to me when I watched it in 2009. But I watched this and I'm like, wait, this is and historians will call them close friends, besties, roommates, colleagues, like situation. I'm like, that's 100% a couple. Like, they argue like a couple. That's a couple. And I love explaining to people, like, some of the weird stuff about, Coraline in general, like the fact that Coraline's sweater is literally, like, 2 inches tall. Or not, well, not 2 inches tall, but, it's very, very small, and they literally, the person who worked on it, I'm just looking for lava at this point, had to physically use, like, itty-bitty little, like, they looked like needles that you would actually sew clothes with in order to make that sweater. It was wild. Do I not have an open source of lava down here? Because usually, I can see what I've done is, like, ignored the... Hang on, let me dig out this bit and see, like... Hello? Why? Wait, why was this not continued? Hold on, what? That's weird. Yeah, lava denied, I guess. Alright. I'm sure if I look far enough, I'll find some, because there's plenty down here. Goodness knows. Alright, good. Also, like... the... TikTok has currently been trying to make me emotional over Wicked again, and I'm like, bruh, I do not have the time, the money, or the, like, transportation to go see a showing of Wicked again. You gotta stop. But I'm also genuinely angry that it was more or less confirmed that James Corden is gonna be playing Dr. Dillamond. I'm like, no. Dr. Dillamond is one of my very favorite characters. Please. They don't suit each other at all because Dr. Dillamond is, like, very stuffy and, like, you know, so about things. And then you have, like, can't act seriously to... Well, James Corden isn't the worst, like, in the world, but he's not great. And lately, everything he touches has been terrible. So I'm just like, can we please not... I love the people who are like, what does he have on people? Like, people are like, he's got to have, like, some kind of blackmail or something. Because, like, how do you explain what is currently happening in the Hollywood scene with him without just being like, nah, he's definitely got something on someone? I'm actually gonna go over this way and see if I can find another blocked off tunnel that, like, has lava behind it. Because, again, this is kind of weird. Hold on. I'll find one of the ones that it's, like, earlier in the tunnel. Wait, I think I can see some there. Yes, I see some. Okay, good. Alright, I just had to look more carefully. It's fine, chat. Alrighty. Be gone. Alrighty. Also, you know the other thing that I really want to see, not just in general, but in a very specific theater? So I have seen Phantom before, but I actually want to see Phantom in a dedicated Phantom theater. Because the one I was at, I do not remember them having, like, a proper chandelier. Like, if I recall, what they did was, I think that they just green screened it. I could be wrong about that, but I am pretty sure that that was what they did, because it's been so long since I saw it. Like, like those dedicated Phantom theaters that have the full setup. I would love to see Phantom in one of those. Just because, like, for one, their aesthetic, chef's kiss. Because it's got like all the gilding and the red and oh, it's so good. I might actually, while I'm still trying to think of how I would do my techno, because the other thing I'm trying to decide for my techno is, do I want to get a wig specifically for him? Because I have actually seen a lot of people do. Well, it's not a lot of people. There's one very specific cosplayer. Oh, I blanket on their name, but they do like a blonde techno, like really pale blonde, and I actually really like that. But the only blonde wig I have, it's a little too Regina George for what I'm thinking, you know. But I don't know. It'll probably take me a while before I decide if/what I want to do for techno, because he's easily my favorite character. I'm very particular. The other thing I want to do, if they do decide to add the glare, I do want to like do a series where like I show people my headcanons for how mobs work. Because that's another thing I'm very particular about, like the fact that the way yes, I think that's it. I think that's who I'm talking about. Yes. I want to do a series like explaining stuff like how I think creepers work, you know, like because for me I'm pretty sure that's who I'm thinking of. And they have those full sclera contacts when they do him, so that their whole eye is red. Like the ones that I know hurt like absolute, you know, they just hurt horribly. All right, there we go. Good. But yeah, like I'm very particular about and maybe it's because I've been invested in Minecraft for so long since like Enderman were added to the game that like I'm very like weird about how I interpret mobs. Like for me, the way that creepers work is their teeth are actually made out of flint, and they basically grind their teeth together in a very specific way to spark their internal like explosions. Which is why it sounds like you could almost hear it strike. So that's why I can't do it with like unless I got like fake teeth. But for Sam actually has flint teeth. So you really don't want to get bitten by my version of Sam, because it would not be good. It would hurt a lot. Because they're basically almost as sharp as obsidian knives. Like he can do a lot of damage if he decides to bite you. All right, very good. All right, cool. Good. All right, on we go. Good. All right, cool. Nice. And like, it also is one of those things that like, oh no. I also something that I find very interesting that I've noticed happening lately is okay, good. And I mean interesting in not a good way, but is people who follow cosplayers that then get big that then proceed to like steal characters. Because I believe it's Monster Ace is their username, has apparently been dealing with recently that they had a like mutual of like 3 years that used to follow them for their OC content, but then once they got into DreamSMP recently, they went and they checked on this mute. This mute basically took one of their characters, and I'm like, bruh. Like, it's kind of like, I'm gonna use Smithsonite as an example because I'm very protective of him. Oh, I'd absolutely be upset. Like, they have every right to be upset. And I mean, they've also been going through a whole lot with, like, I feel genuinely horrible for them because they've been going through with all that nonsense of people being like, "Oh, you're like doing with their." It's the the argument that people have about Rabu cosplayers who do the full face paint. The really stupid. Oh, it's blackface, and it's like it's so not. But okay, I know that they've been dealing with a lot of that too lately. And I genuinely feel bad because like they were one of the ones that influenced me a lot in terms of doing my Rabu cosplay. So like, I genuinely like my heart goes out to them, especially because a lot of them have been like, and even you and I have both been dealing with getting our views suppressed lately, and it's like, on top of that, having to deal with stuff like character theft, it's just a nightmare right now. And it's gotten to the point where like I used to think I had the algorithm figured out on lock. Mm. Huh. Interested. Yeah, like, and it's one of those things where, like, it, I don't know if this makes sense, but it starts to feel like so much stuff happens at once that it almost makes people not want to, like, cosplay anymore, and it drives me nuts. Oh, yeah, I know, like I said, there was a time, like, right around, it was shortly after I started doing the Lantern Agency stuff, so, the stuff with Bowie and my Plague Doctor, I thought for a good few, like, probably, like, I don't know, a 6-month period, like, I genuinely, like, I knew exactly when to post, I knew exactly, like, what tags, blah, 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 blah. But then, suddenly out of nowhere, the algorithm shifted, and I'm like, And I think it's when it started caring more about, shares and watch times versus, like, interaction and, like, likes and stuff. Like, they changed the kind of, like... And I can always tell, right, when, like, the algorithm shifts based on who shows up on my page. Or not who shows up on my page, but, like, who randomly catches stuff. So, like, I've had a couple of times where I could tell that the algorithm shifted in the middle of me doing a TikTok live. Yeah, they did, and I'm still not inherently sure how they work. And it's nuts because a lot of people do this for a job, and especially if they're not like the traditional like Charlie D'Amelio or like that group, whatever you want to call it. It punishes a lot of creators who that is their job, and it drives me nuts. And I also I don't know if you've noticed this, but I personally noticed that it seems like lately stuff that is promoting other things. So for example, like the videos I say that like I'm live right now or whatever, they barely get views. And I don't know if it's like an intentional thing that they're doing, but it's obnoxious. And as much as like I genuinely enjoy TikTok as a creative outlet, it can get pretty disheartening to like have like it's like the only times I get like tons of attention is negative attention, which again, interaction is interaction, which is why I don't, unless it's like someone like saying like a slur or something like I know I forgot they did that. I genuinely forgot that they banned Dolly Parton. But oh, come on, brain, where are you? Sorry, my brain just out the door. It gets to the point where it's like, I know that this is kind of a harsh accusation, or not a harsh accusation, but kind of a not smart accusation to make. But it feels like they are taking away attention from others and intentionally giving it to what I would consider like an industry plans, like the concept of industry plans in like music. That's what it's starting to feel like. It feels like they're planting people rather than trying to encourage growth of the creators that started the platform. Because right, like you know what drives me nuts? Cosplayers carried during the Musical.ly era. So did furries. Like, they were, like, the be-all, end-all reason that people joined. Like, the amount of people that joined... Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, I don't use the... unless it's, like... Because the only reason I use hashtag Rabu cosplay or Sam Dude cosplay is... I'm not even sure why I do it. I probably shouldn't. But, oh, come on, Braid. The amount of people who joined TikTok because the I guess you never miss, huh? Video. Like, I would love to look into that statistic because that did a lot. Same thing as I would love to look into the statistic of the amount of... Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. But the amount of people who, like, joined after, like, Jenna Marbles did her series on her favorite TikToks. But also, it's like, why has the shift become that the original people who carried the app, like, no longer matter? Like, I forget their I think it's, like, Ishion or Ekion or something like that. It's, like, EE and a bunch of C's and stuff. But they were the amount of times they have had to justify the fact that they're verified because they were crowned back in the Musical.ly era is like ridiculous because people are like, why are you verified? Yes, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. That is exactly right. And it's like, the thing is, these dance videos will eventually like die out. Like, the reason that I think that they shouldn't be like messing around with the cosplayers or the like any cosplayer, including like furries and stuff, is because like those are the people who are going to be determined enough because they want to show their stuff, like outside of con settings, that they will continue to use the app no matter what. So the fact that they're kind of pushing them away, to me, seems like exactly like every dance video is the same. But like, oh gosh, sorry, that was loud. I don't know why that alert popped up, but whatever. But yeah, it's like, there's only so far that these dance videos are going to be able to take you. Kind of like how, like, Vine, even though Vine went down because of more financial stuff, Vine had staying power. Hello, Crispy. We're ranting about cosplay stuff. How are you doing, dear heart? But Vine had staying power because it had a lot of, like, unique kind of humor. But if TikTok wants to just be dance content, then eventually it's gonna die out. I'm sorry to hear that, Crispy. I'm assuming it's the cold. I believe you were the one who had the cold. Alright, I'm sending you lots of love and hugs, though, and I hope you feel better. Alright. But yeah, it feels kind of sleazy of TikTok to be pulling this, and again, when literally, like, the bedrock of their app was built on cosplay. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. And unfortunately, there's not much, like, I'm sure what to say, but just know that, you know, I'm here for you, and, you know, things will get better. Sending you lots of love and hugs, hon. Let's... At some point, I need to pull this iron back up to the surface. Alright. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it... I definitely, like, have had times like that before, like... And it's one of those things, like... It's such a, like, situational based thing that I don't have any advice, but just, you know, do things that you love and, you know, distract yourself in any way you can, you know? Is my advice, you know. And know that it doesn't make you any less of a person, and, like, it doesn't reflect poorly on you, it reflects much more on them than you. Alright, let's... Cool. I need to see if I can get fortune going on either of my pickaxes. Matter of fact, let me head back up to the surface here. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the world is not a very nice place, you know? But know that you're among friends here, you know? Alright, let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Alright, let's go, let's go. Right, good. Yeah. For me, what I found... I don't know if, like, helpful is the correct term, but, like... One of the things that I found that helped me handle stuff like that was, like, just playing games, if that makes sense. Like, anything that takes a lot of focus, because that way, you know, you're fully distracted, and you don't, like... I'm not sure how to phrase it, unfortunately. Where is the staircase? Hang on, I think it's here. There it is. But yeah. Alrighty, let's go. And I know it's kind of cheesy, but time does heal all wounds. Like, genuinely, truly. But yeah, we're here for you, hun. Alright, let's see. Let's get this iron back to the house. And I do need to remember, while I'm getting my setup going for TikTok, to tell the admin what trick-or-treat stuff I found. Oh, it does not sound like it's gonna be friendly up here. Let's go. Gotta run quick. Gotta run quick. Alrighty, very good. Alright, let's get this in the smelter. I should probably make a couple more blast furnaces. Just because I definitely, like, need more. I believe it's... let me look up blast. Oh, come on. Oh yeah, Ponytown is definitely, like, really fun. I love messing around with Ponytown. And they've actually added several new areas recently. So they've added... they added a bakery, like, cafe area. They added a... like, I don't know if marketplace makes sense, but they added, like, a marketplace area. And again, a lot of it's just for, like, visuals and stuff. It's not, like, you know, traditionally useful, but, like, I love messing around and making new things in Ponytown, because it brings me so much joy. Especially if it's stuff that, like, I never really thought to make before. Those are always really fun. Alright, let's see. Do I have any smooth stone hidden away? I have you. Let me see if I can remember how to make this. Alright, I believe it's... Wait, hang on, I need the furnace first. I am fairly certain it is a furnace surrounded by smooth stone. Or, like, so? Maybe? No? You might have to, like, fully surround... Ah, gosh darn it. Come on. Blast. Okay, there it is. Okay, I see. Thank you. Alrighty, I do need a little bit more if I want to make another one. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah, you can get it on the phones, and you can also just play it in browser if you're at your computer. Because I usually play it in browser. But it's the same thing. I'm gonna go down and see if I can get any new enchants on my pickaxe before we end. Let's see, my loves. That goes there, you go there. Efficiency, Because, right, I want fortune, and that's my concern. And, like, efficiency would be fun, but I also know it would make my stuff wear out faster, so, you know? I might actually go grab a book and put that on a book. Hang on, let me do that. That is not the level I need to be at. I also need to finish up that level there, because it is currently very trashed. I don't know why it said that was not a permitted word, but, I would not lie about my birthday. Do not lie about your birthday. I don't know why it decided that that was not a permitted term. That was weird. Refine me. Your distance. Say I'm a traitor, but I can't remember. It's all in my head now. And it's all just the same. Yeah, I don't know why it took offense to that, but alrighty. Oh, that's awesome. Absolutely, that sounds like it's gonna be so much fun, Mystery. No, all of those sound lame. Anyway, so I got Smite, 4 on a book, that's good. Can I put that on my pickaxe, I wonder? Or, I mean, my axe. Yes, it is, and I'm very excited. I don't know if we're gonna be going anywhere this year, or what I'm gonna be wearing. But, why am I in here? I need to be on an anvil. Alright, here you go, lad. Take that, and that. Pop. Thank you, good. Alright, so now that has Smite 4, that's good. I ain't united. Alright, good, good. Now this should be done. Good. You go there. Turning, it's all in my head now. But it's all just the same. It's all in my head now. The other thing I like about Ponytown is how many it lets you make before, like, you have to be, like, a premium member. Because it lets you make, like, a lot. I think like, you get a base of, like, 200. Like, just free, you know? And it's like, bruh, that is insane. And if you're curious about... Because there is, like... I'm not sure about the PG server, but on the adult server, up by... If you go straight out from spawn, you walk out, turn right on the main road, you go until there's a fork in the road, and then you go directly up. That area is where, like, the Dream SMP people hang out. I'm not sure about on the PG server, though. Let's see. I wanna like fuss around with these like chains and see what I can do with them. The chains that I got from my trick or treat stuff, because I've got like 6 of them. What do I want to do? Is the question. You know. I might just kind of like have some hanging down in the windows or something, because I just think they're neat. Okay. Then, we're gonna make them a little uneven. That way, like, I don't know, they'll just look neater. I'm not sure what export character does. It's probably if you had, like, a character earlier, you can use that to, like, put them where you want them to go. Alright, let's see. I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this here. I will see you guys tomorrow. I might actually play Undertale tomorrow. I think I might do an Undertale run. But
Until next time, it was great to have you guys here. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, guys. And by the way, Crispy, I hope you feel better, hon. Alrighty. Bye, guys.